that I think that Trump's behavior is unpresidential. It's almost certainly illegal.
Almost
though,
certainly.
Hard to enforce.
Yeah, which matters.
So just so we're clear right now, Jordan Peterson was very pro-Trump. But so he's in the U.S. now, and he's sitting there, and now he's sitting across from the guy, the Blackberry dude, and he's basically listening to what Trump is doing. I got to be honest, is illegal, right? Like we are looking at the potential overthrow of the Constitution that's taking place right now. Yeah, no, certainly, it's not ideal. So Jordan Peterson is having buyer's regret, apparently. Oh, bloody hell, bucko, what have I done?
Okay, so detail out for me and for the Canadians and everyone who's listening what you think exactly, what the hell is Trump up to? I mean, he's put a knot in Canadians' tail, and the upside of that is that for the first time, certainly in the Trudeau era, even the Liberals are pretending that they're patriots and that Canada has a self-evident reason for existing, which is something that Trudeau has formally denied for the whole bulk of his political.
Oh, who is the guy on the right, you might be asking yourselves? I have a fun little tidbit for that. I don't know if you've all seen this movie. It's really funny. I would recommend watching it if you haven't. I'll show you the trailer for it. It's got one of the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia guys. He actually is that person.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it. It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No.
That guy is sketchy.
I don't think he's sketchy.
That guy, the one they're talking about in this trailer, that's the guy that Jordan Peterson's talking to IRL right now. The Blackberry guy, one of the guys who basically, like Steve Jobs, didn't actually invent anything. Like Elon Musk, isn't smart or an inventor, but is rather ruthless in terms of business and was able to see an idea and think, this may be something that could potentially generate a lot of money. And it turns out Blackberry did. It might be a word that I'm sure younger audiences don't even understand, like what, like the fruit. No, there was a very popular cell phone brand line for a while that was actually created and manufactured in Canada that strangely took over the entire business world everywhere.
Guy's a shark.
I know how to market it, and I know who we can sell it to. But I want 50% of the company, and I've got to be CEO.
I don't know who you think you are, but deal. Are you joking?
We are in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. I need a prototype.
I'll do it perfectly, or I don't do it.
Mike, are you familiar with the saying, perfect is the enemy of good?
Well, good enough is the enemy of humanity.
What do you call it?
It's called a Blackberry.
Huh. Try typing with your thumbs.
And again, it might seem strange, but that used to be revolutionary. You just have a little keyboard just right in your hands. I hated it. I have very large thumbs, and so I never found Blackberries to be comfortable, or I couldn't really spell things with it. I was bigger on the whole T9 stuff, where you would just use the dial pad and you could spell words with it, and eventually got pretty fast if you started learning all these like different keystrokes and stuff. But the Blackberry keyboard I always found just kind of really, really small.
Get this baby in the hands of every Fortune 500 executive you could find.
We call them crackberries.
Should Doug come with us, or?
No. You want to be great? You need to sacrifice. And the more painful the sacrifice, the greater you'll be.
If we put more phones on these networks, they're going to crash.
Is this legal?
You need to sell 1 million Blackberries. We are calling it iPhone.
In the middle of a hostile takeover!
Do you know what the sentence is for multi-million-dollar stock fraud?
What are you doing?
I'm doing it all.
You guys have no idea how to run a company.
What's happening, man?
I created this entire market.
You said they were the best engineers in the world.
I said they're the best engineers in Canada.
What are they paying you?
I shouldn't say.
They're paying me $10 million.
Yeah, me too.
So that's this guy. Just if you're wondering, this is Glenn Howerton's character from the movie Blackberry, but the real life one, the one who was actually behind the scenes. Yeah.
Career that we were a post-national state with no real identity, that our strength was our diversity, that leg one, where we had some advantage, was also an untenable basis for movement into the future, that we're going to enter into a green economy that was going to magically make us rich. And one of the things you're pointing out is, good. There is a virtualized economy, but we don't own any of it. So, and when I looked at Carney's book recently, Values, and he talks about this magical economy, which
So just to set the stage here, because this is kind of interesting. The guy on the right, also massive asshole, but a Canadian and a Canadian businessman, and one of the richest Canadians, I think, in the entire country, multi-billionaire. After all, Blackberry was incredibly successful, and obviously they're both hyper-capitalists, him and Jordan Peterson. But at a time now where everything is really frightening, was Trump going to invade? Is he going to annex the country? We're not entirely sure. It's that awkward moment where, we've kind of, for a long time, if you happen to be a capitalist, it doesn't by definition make you a right-winger or conservative, but most likely you're going to lean into this kind of godlike weird, they all have a perverse brain where they see human beings less as humans and more as numbers or ants or just worker drones, and that kind of twists you into a strange view of the world where you think of yourself as a god king and them as the unwashed masses that have to be obviously controlled, because otherwise, left to their own devices, they'll just goon themselves to death, right? That's the problem. All of society will goon themselves to death unless you keep them in control. That's the whole reason jobs exist, is that by going to your workplace 8 hours a day, you can't goon during that time. So it actually prevents goon death, which actually is one of the reasons society functions.
Suppose, at least in part, is a knowledge economy that's somehow going to emerge if we leave 80% of our fossil fuels in the ground. But you might say that it's a little short on detailed plan. So, so what's Trump?
Oh, and if you haven't been following Jordan lately, he is full, basically, it's not even like climate change denial light. He's got this idea of abundance. You might be hearing that word a lot right now. It's kind of a popular word in a lot of different political circles. Basically, we've been sold this lie, and the lie is that we will all die from the eventual societal collapse of climate change as the planet continues to warm, because it's anthropomorphic, man-made climate change, primarily from us extracting CO2, and then also, factory farming isn't really helping anything either there. And so his big fear was that, if you try to reduce the amount that we're utilizing energy, then people will die and suffer because we need it to make food. And more abundance is better, more food production is better, more energy is better. So actually, it's the opposite of what everyone has told you. It's going to be catastrophic if we do not produce lots of stuff, if we don't extract lots of oil, and if we don't use it to the best of our abilities. And so he'll usually get to this point right now, you can see it in his face, right, where he's doing the thing, and he's just like, well, we're supposed to not love this. And it's like, no one, I think, has ever been saying that human beings need to stop using energy in its totality. Yeah, that would shut society down. It's that there are better ways to extract it or to generate it than there is from fossil fuel extraction, right? And like as of right now, it's actually cheaper to generate electricity from sunlight. The sun, the light of Ra that arrives on the planet every day is quite splendid. In fact, apparently in a single day, it gives us enough energy straight from the sun for free that could power the world for an entire year. We just don't utilize it. It mostly just hits the grass and allows it to grow a little bit.
Exactly. What do you think Trump is up to?
Yeah, I'm trying to spend most of my time with you today characterizing what's going on.
Yeah.
I've only said one normative thing to date, so far in this, which was my belief in capitalism, in a liberal democracy, as the best way for human flourishing. And I'm going to give you what I plan to be.
Very Steve Pinker, by the way. And it makes sense. Like, if you, again, are a super successful out-of-touch billionaire who invented didn't invent Blackberry, but made Blackberry prolific, you probably see the world in which, not a Nazi. I'm not a fascist. Okay, I'm not here to tell you that we need to go really in that direction. But I have to be honest about the fact that, you know, neoliberal capitalism is the best system for humanity to succeed. And within that system, we do have the democratic process, and that's where you get a lot of those liberal values, right? Freedom of religion, for example. These are all great things in theory. And the biggest lie about the whole Steven Pinker stuff. Well, one, if you watch, Mehdi Hassan did a great breakdown in a live format with Steven Pinker. Steven Pinker's books are basically what a lot of, you know, the proud capitalist liberals and neoliberals alike love to tout as being a success story. His numbers in terms of, hey, there's no greater system that has reduced poverty, for example. There's no greater system that has uplifted society than capitalism and free markets and international trade. That's the entire basis. This has actually made everyone healthier and better. Even the Vlogbrothers back in the day used to have these videos, and this was a long time ago. This was maybe like 9 years ago, where they would say, like, hey, did you know, like, so many things are getting better. Less countries are at war with each other. Because again, of you know, global trade, there is less people who live in abject poverty, who live on less than $1 a day, all this kind of stuff. What Steven Pinker didn't do was explain that a large portion of his book does not work if he doesn't include China, which is a really huge part of the puzzle. If you suddenly take China out of his book, all of his graphs start to go in all different directions. And why? Well, because of the revolution that took place in China, you had a very large percentage of the Earth's population get uplifted out of extreme poverty. And that actually helps, like, grease a lot of his numbers along the way. The other part of the book that he never likes to talk about, or that, you know, most neoliberals don't like to talk about, is that a lot of the abundance that they claim is, you know, really a showcasing of how great capitalism worked. A lot of that comes at the expense of other countries, and we just don't think about it in the West. You don't think about how you exploit the global south when you live in Canada or the United States. You don't think about how you exploit countries in Africa if you live in Denmark or you live in Finland or you happen to live in France. Or you don't think about the old colonies, you know, or what France is still to this day doing to Haiti and stuff like that. None of that really goes into your brain when you hold these electronic devices, say like a Blackberry, in your hands, and you think it's just so incredible what modern capitalism has brought us. Look at this fucking amazing little device that I have right here, this piece of electronics. It does magic in my hands, and it was cheap. I don't know how we invented this. We made this. It works. We can communicate with one another. All the little minerals inside of it, I don't know where they come from, but it makes the whole thing, you know, really cool. And I don't really want to have to think about the process and the requirements for all of that. I actually don't want to think about why all my stuff is so cheap over here. I just want it. I want to buy a lot of things, and I want them to be very cheap and abundant. I want them to be almost in surplus, right? When you walk into a store, when you walk into a Walmart, I want to just be blown away by capitalism on display. Every time the doors open, you just get in there, you're greeted by someone. It's all so friendly and nice, and then you're just like, God damn, there's a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff. And I'm walking in here and I don't even need all this stuff. And now as I'm walking out and I've got a couple things that I needed, I'm now just buying things that I don't even need. Because why wouldn't I? Fucking 12 spatulas for $6. What the fuck? I don't even need that many spatulas, but it's there. That deal is pretty unreal. I would be a sucker if I didn't buy that right now. And then I'm going to buy another thing and another thing. And I've got all this shit and all this abundance. Where is it all made? Where does it come from? Yeah, who cares? Who cares? It's there and it's cheap and it's wonderful.
The second normative thing that I plan to say today, that I think that Trump's behavior is unpresidential, it's unprovoked, it's unkind, it's almost certainly illegal, though
clean up your room.
Almost
though hard to enforce.
Yeah, which matters.
But in the characterization.
So just so we're clear right now, Jordan Peterson was very pro-Trump. Jordan Peterson, after Trump won, moved. Once again, he's moved back and forth a couple times, but he moved from Canada back to the United States. And yes, he works for the Daily Wire there, so it helps, I'm sure, being in closer proximity to all the people he likes to interview. But so he's in the U.S. now, and he's sitting there, and now he's sitting across from the guy, the Blackberry dude, and he's basically listening to what Trump is doing, I got to be honest, is illegal. Right, like we are looking at the potential overthrow of the Constitution that's taking place right now. Oh yeah, no, certainly, it's not ideal.
I'm also going to say that I think he miscalculated, and it's actually been unwise and is counterproductive to America's interests and actually in Canada's interests if we seize it. So I think this is a fascinating moment. And to sort of, for Canada, to quote the famous Yogi Berra, when you reach a fork in the road, you got to take it.
Right.
And so Trump sees Mexico as just a commodified labor to lowest cost for blue collar. Canada's to commodified labor at white collar workers, and it's all got to be subsidized.
I'll be honest, I think that's how all of you see the world. I think that's how every rich person sees. Like, you don't think of nations, you don't think of cultures, you don't think of ethnicities, you don't think of genders, religions, all that kind of stuff. You really just see the world in terms of how you can exploit it. And so it's like, oh, well, there's cheaper labor down there, and then there's abundant resources up there, and then how can they both benefit me as an American? And that's basically how I see the world.
And so I actually think the appeasement, there's a little bit of benefit in appeasement and diplomacy, because you inform the U.S. that he may have to dial a few things back a little bit because it's counter to Americans' interests, not because he's compassionate to Canada.
That's ridiculous. By the way, that hasn't worked once. There hasn't any strategy that any Canadian politician has done to try and appease Donald Trump has not worked, because he does not give a fuck. It's been so embarrassing to watch all of these like right-wingers, conservatives just falling over each other and being like, you know, that we're friends. And there's no greater friendship than the partnership between Canadians and Americans. We've been friends for a long time. You know, sometimes you might even say friends with benefits. You know what I'm saying? So why ruin a good thing? Come on, you know, we've been giving each other resources, the occasional hand job. I don't understand why you want to fuck with the bag. And Trump's like, we're taking you over. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You can keep your cold ass icy hand jobs, Canada. We're going to be invading.
Economically or socially or security wise. But I think he's said what he is. He believes that they are the empire. Yeah. That you must pay a tax for the privilege of participating with the empire, interrelated with the empire. He wants to rename the...
Right. So wouldn't that be a good time for a learning lesson? And I think not just for Canada, but for Americans as well, for everybody. This is why this whole system sucks, because as long as you have everything, like liberals are so, this is one of the reasons that Chuck Schumer's and the Democrats are just falling over themselves, because they're not really used to a scenario like this. When you get just a authoritarian wild card thrown into the mix, and then all of a sudden the entire system that you set up is like, oh shit, a lot of this is participatory. I didn't know. I didn't know that if someone just doesn't want to abide by the very rules we've set up, that whole constitution thing, then the whole thing can fall apart. And then maybe all of the, like, I gotta be honest, there's no greater word for it, Canada. Your Stockholm syndrome that you have with your trade relation with America is disastrous, and that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of countries right now that are looking towards, well, maybe we should ameliorate partnerships with other countries, maybe we should ameliorate partnerships with them, and also empires aren't good. Doesn't matter who it is. Like trust me, I am all for and on board with, and it's not going to happen because we have a very, very strong sentiment of China bad in this country, but I'm all for improving trade relations with China. I would like to remove the tariffs on Chinese EVs, for example. I think those would be awesome to have here. They look so cool. And maybe not being so dependent on the US for our trade, also probably not going to happen. But on the same token, empires suck. Doesn't matter who the empire is. So it doesn't matter what size they've grown to. Anyone that is effectively going to hyper-militarize and then build up this enormous consumer economy that makes other countries dependent on it can eventually become a disaster when you get a Trump.
Internal Revenue Service, the External Revenue Service, and that people's taxes domestically can go down in the U.S. and that it's paid for through tariffs. Yep. And in economics, in prosperity, in a global system, the number one objective is to improve your terms of trade. And terms of trade is really simple, that it's the ratio of the price of what you sell to what you buy. And if you get a better price for what you sell, your terms of trade go up. If you pay more for something that you buy, your terms of trade go down. And that's the whole game, is terms of trade. And we thought that it was about comparative advantage, get out of the way. And America realized that it's about inserting the rent stuff where you get really high rents, which means that drives up your GDP per capita through higher terms of trade. And so their thinking is that I'm going to make you pay to come in here. That's going to enhance the prices we get, and we believe that's going to deflate your currency because it makes you, and a deflation of a currency is like a pay decrease, or
because it buys less,
and you sell it for less too.
Right.
So that worsens your terms of trade, which benefits America's terms of trade. So they're trying to shift the structure of the global economic system, where they become effectively aristocratic, and everyone else is some lower economic status entity, and that is an economic logic being played out to Mexico and Canada. The tricky part is there's not a lot more blood to get out of the stone that is Mexico. I think there is a legitimate security thing.
Like, what a gross way of just looking at the world. Honestly, billionaires disgust me. They should not exist. They are the only dangerous minority in the world. Every single one of them should be abolished. Just not a lot more blood to get out of that stone. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, we've kind of exploited them as much as we can. So we got to look towards Greenland and Canada. Honestly, that's how Trump's thinking, and I get it. You know, it makes sense. You basically fucked over one country to a certain degree. Why not fuck over the rest?
That they're paying attention to.
With regards to the border?
Yeah, and there's probably a couple little strategic things they want in the economy, access to the oil system and owning it and so on. But there's a lot of blood to get from the Canadian prosperity, because we're a relatively prosperous and rich country, eroding as we are. There's a lot of gems in there to get. So I think his objective, if you weaken it enough, you go in for the gems and you hold it in a subordinate position.
Okay, now
because that's the economic logic that is at play here. So
it's a dominance logic, fundamentally.
Yeah, it's an economic and security dominance logic.
Okay, now, but you pointed out that it may well have a paradoxical effect. So let's go into that. I mean, one of the things I've noticed, because I'm very ambivalent about Trump's maneuvers, because, well, he is a bull in the china shop.
I'm angry.
Why? I bloody hell, I don't know what to think. You know, that Trump, he's confusing. Blood for oil, right?
Yeah, I'm angry about them.
Yeah, right.
I wake up angry on it because I feel it's wrong at so many levels. So that's my second normative thing. I'll shed it. Now, you be a clinical psychologist, make me feel a little better, and I'm bothered by it. And I think it's going to hurt 1 in 4 people.
Oh God, you're in for a bad ride there. Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't really have an active license to practice. I don't think he's going to get that license renewed. But sure, just have him open up your brain and scoop out the juicy innards, and we'll see what Jordan Peterson recommends. Oh, I don't know if you've heard, in China, apparently they're milking men, milking them. They lie on tables as small tubes are inserted upon their phallus, and they use their semen in order to produce super soldiers for the Communist Party.
What about the 1 in 4 people that have food insecurity? Like, for goodness sakes, people need food and a home, and now really, and you're going to erode the whole system, hurt Canada comparatively more, still hurt America, and vulnerable people are going to pay the largest price. Because what? Because that's how the aristocracy works, and let them eat cake. And as a proud Canadian and somebody that believes in, my dad was an electrician. I mean, these structures, I wouldn't have gone to.
Oh, for a second there, I was like, hey, true. Yeah, 1 in 4 Canadians has food insecurity. That is true. And then they don't really care about the exacerbation of wealth inequality. That is also true. How are you squaring this? I don't understand. Like, the entire first half of this is trying to explain very basic trade relations and economics to Jordan Peterson, and then have him sit there and be like, the environment with its abundance, and apparently we're not supposed to want to extract oil. And then he's like, well, yeah, but at the end of the day, we have to understand that Donald Trump is effectively trying to get the best trade relation he can for his country, and then he's pretty much extracted all of the blood that he can from Mexico. So now he's turning the sights on other countries like Canada and Greenland, countries that are rich in abundance, and that's how he's doing what he's doing. But I firmly believe, I've made normative statements related to this, I firmly believe in my heart of hearts about liberal capitalism. I am a capitalist, and yeah, of course you fucking are. You're a ruthless capitalist. I mean, again, I recommend everyone watch Blackberry. Very, very entertaining comedy, very funny.
Cool. I wouldn't have had this. Yeah, it violates all sense of fairness for me. So that part of it is not cool by me. But yeah, we'll go into the misplayed hand by Trump.
I would like to know partly, for example, why you are a proud Canadian, why you've stayed here because you didn't have to, and why you think this country is worth fighting for. And then I also want to know what you think about the fact that Trump tromping around has actually seemed to wake Canadians up a bit to help them understand once again that they do in fact have a country, that it might be worth preserving, that we should pay attention not only to the resource economy, which we've done.
Jordan, you wanted this. Come on. You know, you made so many videos about Donald Trump getting elected. He made an entire fucking wish casting X-Men Marvel / fucking here's the ultimate cabinet, the dream team featuring Elon Musk, featuring Tulsi Gabbard, and like, you know, gave them all different superheroes with their powers and was ascribing them, and like the whole thing was so fucking cringe. And now, like, you know, everything that is happening exactly as surprise, surprise, the left said it would. Like, oh, you should probably worry about the fact that they're saying a lot of the shit out loud, you know, the fascistic shit, and talking about Project 2025. And I actually take what they say with value, because I think they're actually going to enact that. That happens to be one of the things that, like, Republicans do. They actually try to do the horrible things that they say, and Democrats try to get away with not having to do the things that they propose. That's like the dynamic at play here.
Everything to scuttle, but that we should maybe wake up with regard to, well, these more sophisticated issues that you've been bringing to light. Okay, so let's start with your feelings about Canada.
Oh. I mean, well, it's a beautiful country. How can you not love the country? I mean, just because I love it doesn't mean I always like it.
Yeah.
And those
but you have chosen to stay here.
Yeah,
to keep your operation.
It's resources. That's what I'm hearing. It's beautiful. You know, we have incredible amounts and abundance of water, forests, minerals, lots of bitumen in the ground, you know, just a lot of stuff to extract and utilize.
Yeah, and I double down, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is my team, this is my country, this is my home. Your job, it's given me so much, and as you said, you know, your obligation is to carry the load you think you can handle. Yeah. So you carry the load.
Let me tell you about loads, bucko.
That you can bring to bear, and there's beautiful people who volunteer at food banks, who do many wonderful things in this country, healthcare workers who care for vulnerable, and on it goes. And so I think...
Yeah, well, and you've poured your efforts into developing the tech economy in the Waterloo area. And my brother-in-law, who's like a tech maven, he thinks that the engineer graduates from this institute in particular are like world top rate. And so like, I mean, you've put your money where your mouth is. And
it's very rewarding. It's very meaningful. It's a shame to see it suboptimized, but do you let the bullies and the elite failure of the last 30 years prevail when there are so many good people who are trying to advocate for a better country and a better future? And if I can provide some resources and air cover for them, as opposed to abandoning them, well, morally, what do you think is the right thing to do?
Let's see his first day as Blackberry CEO.
Maybe you should tell them about the modems.
Oh. Where do you want to put them?
What the fuck is this?
That's yeah, everyone builds their own desk. That's a tradition.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
U.S. robotics pulled out of the deal.
Told you. What's our exposure?
Exposure.
How much money did you spend on the modems?
Oh, 1.6 million.
1 point what?
What?
Spent 1.6 million on materials and labor.
Where did you get $1.6 million?
I got a loan from the Bank of Montreal.
Mike, come on.
Get me U.S. robotics!
Sorry, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, it's called a carrier wave. The calling modem is a leave it.
Hey! Get off the fucking internet!
Apparently he was furious with his betrayal in the movie. He was like, I am not like that.
I think it's Casey.
What? You don't get to talk to our team like that. You just get to talk...
Mike!
Hi, actually, no, this is Jim Balsillie. I'm CEO here now.
Co-CEO.
Okay, Jim, what can I do for you?
I want to talk about these modems.
Well, there's nothing to talk about, sadly. We can't accept a defective product.
Let's cut the bullshit here. 2.5 million all in for the entire order.
Yeah, no, can't do it, Jim.
Then I'll decimate.
Was he portraying the guy that Jordan Peterson was just talking to? This is the cinematic version of his story.
For you, 1.6 million. And if you don't take that, I'll turn around and sell them to Rockwell for even less.
Mass negotiation.
Okay, how about this? We'll take the modems if you throw in the patent on Mike's phone.
What phone?
I thought we weren't bullshitting each other, Jim. We've been building our own for a year. We want money.
How long to build a prototype of the phone?
Pocket Link. Yeah, a year.
No, a prototype, Mike. A shell I can wave around at a meeting. It could be a complete piece of shit.
No, we're not doing that. No, Mike's not doing that.
Listen to me. US Robotics is building their own phone. We are now in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. So I don't care what you need to do. Get these fucking nerds to drop everything and build this fucking phone! What?
Sorry, guys. My girlfriend tried to cash my check this morning, and it bounced. And she said I'm not supposed to come in here, I shouldn't come in here anymore. And she agreed I won't be coming in here any longer until I'm getting paid.
I can fix this.
So I don't know. I don't know if truth is stranger than fiction or whatever, but apparently he's now, he wants abundance. Who doesn't want abundance? Abundance sounds great. To people asking, Blackberry is the name of the movie, if you want to watch it.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/theserfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincel, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.